Hello, welcome to AAUW Connections. Tonight we're going to be talking about an issue and a particular organization that deals with a group that are among the most fragile in our population, and that is children and young people in precarious situations. And the organization that we'll be talking about tonight is called Help One Child. And our three guests are Jill Sandy, who is the Director of Community Relations for Help One Child, and two young women that we'll learn a lot more about later, but who have found themselves in one way or another in some of these precarious situations. And this is Kimberly Snodgrass, and this young lady over here is Brianna Saldivar. So, let's just sort of move. We have lots of information, a lot of, I think, information that you're going to find to be very compelling. Tell me first, Jill, just tell us a little bit about Help One Child.
Right. Well, Help One Child was an organization founded right here in Los Altos about 19 years ago now, by a couple who had gotten into foster care and then ended up adopting those that they were fostering and realized, wow, they need a lot more of us to be doing this work, and it's a lot harder than they told us that it was going to be. So how can we recruit more people to do this work and support them so that they're successful at it? So our mission is to recruit, train, and support foster and adoptive parents.
Now, I assume that since you are now sort of a ministry of a number of churches in...
Right.
How far flung are these churches?
Right. Well, we've got churches spread out from as far down to the very tip of Santa Clara County, the very southern tip, all the way up to actually a couple churches up in Napa County. So that
oh my goodness,
we're primarily Santa Clara and San Mateo, but I'm from Napa myself, so I tried to snag a few more that were convenient for me.
So about how many churches are we talking about? More or less.
Right. Within our total network, we've got about 800 churches in our database.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Now that doesn't mean I talk to 800 churches a week and that there are 800 churches doing the work that they should be doing. But I would say we've got about 25 committed, really active churches.
And so what does that commitment involve for the churches?
Right. That involves everything from putting in bulletin announcements about have you considered foster or adoption during Foster Care Awareness Month in May and adoption in November, to offering respite support services for parents who are doing fostering. So offering a Parents' Night Out event at their church location. So opening up, the playgrounds and staffing it with volunteers so foster parents can have a much needed night out, to doing donation drives for luggage.
So they do they give financial support as well?
They do. So they support Help One Child financially. They provide camperships for camps that we run in the summer for foster children.
Oh, so they have camps that they're running as church camps.
Well, they have their camps, right, and then we run a camp specifically for kids in foster care that they will take a special offering to provide the funds for a foster child to go.
That's a good camp. Now, these are all Christian churches, I understand?
They are, yes.
Are the young people involved in the program required to be Christian?
No, and in fact, our services, it's completely no discrimination. Doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your religious anything we serve. But for different levels of our volunteer programs, we require volunteer training and definitely a questioning behind, okay, why do you want to get involved with youth with this history, and get to know them very well.
Now, are there any attempts to provide religious education to these children?
Certain of our programs are very Bible-based and have a biblical curriculum that go along with it. They're all programs that are specifically marketed as such. So Signs of Hope Camp in the summer is a Bible church camp in the summer. So the foster parent, the social worker, and sometimes the biological parent as well all have to, they sign waivers, they're all on board with that. So it's not hey, come for free stuff.
Yes, and now
we're going to teach you to think about Jesus, you know?
Well, I asked that question because you and I have talked about this earlier, but just for the benefit of our audience, I wanted that to be, I didn't want anyone to be turned off because of that, and so this makes it all very clear that it's...
Definitely, and we're very upfront about what's included where, and that, you know, the child or the parents don't have to say, okay, we're Christian to send the camp. If you don't mind them hearing, you know, the Bible stories and singing the songs, they won't be forced to participate in anything. So if you don't mind that, then they're certainly welcome.
Okay. So then, who do you consider to be your clients? The children, the churches, the foster parents?
Right.
Who? All of the above?
Right. A little bit. Our primary client was designed to be the foster parent or the kinship parent or whoever is caring for someone else's child or who has welcomed someone else's child as their own. Because while there are never enough support resources in this genre, the ones that are child directed, that follow the child, often leave the foster parent out of the loop sometimes. And then that placement ultimately benefiting the child is less successful if the foster parent isn't getting the support that they need so that they're able to love and care for and support that child, and then again be a return home so that the next time they get that phone call at 3 a.m. they're saying, yeah, I can do this because I have a support network that's going to help me.
Okay. Now, you mentioned kinship care.
Right.
And what is kinship care?
Kinship care is kind of a fancy term for something that's been unofficially happening for forever. So, you know, your sister is unable to care for her child for whatever reason. Typically, then a sister, a mom, a grandma, a relative will step in and say, well, yeah, you know, you're part of our family, so you come along, you fold in with my kids and stuff like that. And so we support a lot of families who sometimes don't even know about the existence of this child until they get a call from social services saying, did you know that your son had a child 8 years ago and now has been in foster care for the past year? We're trying to locate his relatives. Would you be willing in taking care of this child? And that can be a whole new concept I wasn't planning on a kid.
Talk about somebody who needs support.
Right. Especially when that's exactly the person that's potentially best equipped to care for that child. We want to make sure that if it's a grandma not expecting 4 kids under 6, that she gets the support she needs.
So how old are the children or young people that you deal with?
Children in foster care range from, you know, they're in the hospital born and, you know, they're born with drug positive tests in their system. And so that right there is the cause for their removal, and they need a place to come home to just be welcomed into the world, on up to youth who are in the process of emancipating at age 18 or now 19, and or have emancipated previously. That's really where our focus is shifting, is to the population that's been overlooked. Most people can wrap their brain around, well, of course I can care for this little helpless baby, you know, but looking into a face that has a little bit more years of experience behind it can be harder to understand. Well,
the whole issue of aging out of the system at what is still really, in sense of human development, or a person is still a very young age, 18, and now I guess that's going to 19. Yeah. And that brings us to our guests, who both, in one way or another, different ways, as you'll hear, but one way or another have been involved in this. So, Brianna, let's talk about you and about, if you don't mind, telling us your story, how you came to be in the system and aged out.
Of course. So, I've been in and out of the system being foster care, since approximately the age of 2. My mom was constantly getting in and out of my life. She would go through drug rehab, get us back, then lose us because she couldn't stay on the program that she was with. And I didn't have a lot of other family. I don't know my dad's side of the family. I did have a very, very strong support system with my step family, though. However, when I emancipated, everything kind of, turning 18 and everything, it was really hard for me.
And where were you at that point when you were 18? Were you living with a step family or
No,
some?
So when I been in and out of foster care, like I said, I've been in different homes, whether I'd lived with my step grandmother, who I just call my grandma, for a long time. Then things weren't working out, and so I was kind of going into different foster care. I'm a unique situation in that I graduated high school. First off, it's sad to say, but that is in itself a unique situation for foster youth. Not a lot of foster youth graduate high school. And I was actually motivated enough to continue on to a college. So I went to...
and how old were you at that time? When you,
I was still 17, so I was
okay,
about
so you were still in the system.
I was still...
you had foster parents.
Yes, I still actually had foster parents. When I was looking into the colleges that I wanted to go to, I ended up going to Dominican University, which is in San Rafael, and I lived with a foster parent, a couple that were located near the school.
Oh, so you came to be with them because they were, okay, so it isn't some long-term relationship.
Right.
Okay.
So I had no idea. I actually met them. I had no idea who they were. I'd never met them because they were Dominican. I grew up in Santa Clara County, primarily South County, Gilroy, Morgan Hill, Southside San Jose area. And then I went to college, and Dominican's located in Marin County. So it's a different county, so I had to get a new social worker, along with the social worker that I had in Santa Clara County. And then I also had a new set of foster parents in a place that I was completely unfamiliar with.
And starting college, which can be traumatic in and of itself.
Right, and not having any knowledge at all about what it is what college is about. I had no financial support, so I currently have loans that I had taken out from my first semester of college. While I was attending college, my foster family that I was with, I guess they ended up...
you turned 18?
Yes. No, I was actually still 17.
Okay.
So I was still 17. I was living with my foster family. And then halfway through the semester, which is still while I'm 17, I transferred to live on campus at Dominican because the commute was dark, and I didn't like taking the bus at night. I felt very unsafe. And so when I went on to live on the dorms at Dominican, one day I just had a meeting with my social worker, and she called me while she was around the corner to let me know that she had all of my things from my foster parents' house in her car. And she dropped them off at my dorm, and I was fortunate enough to have a best friend that was going to school with me from Santa Clara County. I'd gone to high school with, and she helped support me through that move. And I had, after I got all my stuff at the dorms, it was
no word from them, from the foster parents?
I had not heard. Even to this day, I've texted them once for their birthday, got a response back the day after, and they didn't really seem to, they didn't seem like they wanted to keep the relationship going, which is what they had originally been telling me. And so it's kind of hard to, as a foster youth, to
of course
hear that you're wanted and then just have things go wrong. And especially in my case, no one ever explained to me what happened.
And so you're still in school.
Yes.
But when did this all happen?
This all happened last semester, last year, sorry. This all happened last year.
Second year of college
I'm
now.
in my second year of college. Since Dominican, I transferred because of that situation. When the semester ended at Dominican, I didn't have a place to live up because the dorms closed for winter break. So I didn't have a place to go to. I was fortunate enough to be able to, I had a sister who lived with a family friend of ours, and he opened his house to me.
So you were able to, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
So you had a place to go to. It was in Santa Clara County. I'm just trying to.
Yes.
And you transferred to a community college.
Actually, I had no idea whether I was still planning on going to Dominican at first, just because I really liked the atmosphere of it. I just didn't have money for
Sure.
it, and I didn't have a place to live. And I lived with this my family friend, and I emancipated. So now I turned 18, and then I decided, after I kind of settled into living with him, and he said, the family friend said that I could live with him until I can ground myself and make it on my own. And so I'm actually currently still living with him. And he's helped me, you know, go. I transferred to college to Evergreen in San Jose, which is where I'm currently a full-time student.
And so you've been there at Evergreen for 1.5 semesters, or rather?
For 2 semesters.
2 semesters, good. So you're making it.
I definitely am, and a lot of that also has come after emancipation during the summer, after my first semester of college, second semester of college, first semester at Evergreen, sorry. I got involved with this organization that I hadn't really known too much about. I just kind of, it was a job, and at the time I needed a job to make money so I could continually get school, build up to make it on my own, which is still ultimately my goal for right now, to be able to have my own place. And so I got involved with this, I applied for this job that I didn't really know anything about. They hired me, I found out about it, and it was called a founding member, and I had no idea what that was. And I found out later that it's what my job was, or is, to create a community center, which was completely youth-led. And it was created by a group of former foster youth like myself. And we all got together and we just created, brainstormed ideas of what we thought could help, services that we thought could help youth.
Okay, so right now, you are in school.
Yes.
You're a student. You are also helping organize this youth group.
We opened the center in September 30th, and so now I'm helping to run the center. The center's name is The Hub, and it's located North First Street, downtown, or North First Street in San Jose.
So you're, you know,
I've been doing really.
It's a long voyage, still a long journey, but you're really getting yourself squared away, which is, as you said, most foster children, when they age out, haven't even finished high school, no less.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have a very strong support system between my Nana, my grandmother, who's my step-Nana, who I used to live with. She's one of my primary support people. And then recently, when I moved in with the family friend, he's been also a very important support to me. And my involvement with the Hub, every single connection that I've made within my job, between the people that are going to be working with this youth that I'm going to be working with to help support services and bring services to them, they've all definitely been a support to me too. They always make sure that
you just keep, and of course, the common thread is you, that you've had the gumption to do it, that you've been good at your studies, that you've been able. So that's one aspect. You're at least, you know, a success story to this whole issue, which is a major issue of foster children aging out. Now, on the other hand, we have Kimberly, who's also a success story. I didn't mean on the other hand in that sense. But I mean, you were not a foster child, or you were at one point in your life. And how have you gotten to where you are now?
Yes, so I was in foster care in and out from as a young girl to age 16, which then I was adopted by the Snodgrasses. And I was living with the Snodgrasses from age 11 to 16.
Oh, so you were their foster child.
I was their foster child up until I was 16, and I was placed for adoption once my biological mother lost all her parental rights because she was addicted to drugs and alcohol.
So up until that point, you couldn't be adopted because she still had parental rights.
Yeah, we were still going in the judicial process of reunification. And my mom was working, doing her classes kind of similar to Brianna, and it was like this tango between child is almost going to go home, mom is doing a little better, and then as time got closer, my mom did her final drug test and she came back dirty, and it was kind of the last straw. We were all placed for adoption, and I come from a family of 5.
So you were with the Snodgrasses where you'd been since you were 11, and they adopted you formally.
They adopted myself, my younger sister, who was 5 at the time, and my younger brother. He's 18 months younger than I am.
Those are the kind of wonderful people that you're trying to find more of.
Yeah, and Brianna's story is a huge success because I actually, as I turned 18 and I ended up going to college, I decided to go on to get my master's in risk and prevention from Harvard University because I realized the community I was coming from is at a huge disadvantage in comparison to everyone else in the U.S. And just like Brianna, 50% of youth in foster care will not graduate high school. So 1 out of every 2 students will not graduate high school who are coming from the foster care system.
So you went from being in foster care all those years to being adopted to going to UC and then to Harvard?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and I decided that it was my personal mission to give back to my community because the more I read about the statistics that face foster youth, it was like my ethical duty to go back and help foster youth because they're still there and they still need help. And it's not that these students are at risk, it's that the system itself has put these children at risk. You know, it's not their fault that they are going through traumatic events in their life, that they have drug-addicted parents, or...
These are innocent victims.
Exactly, or some are in for abuse and neglect. And these children are going in and out of constant traumatic events, which is, as you can imagine, physically and emotionally and psychologically damaging. And so, of course, they're going to have difficulties in school. Of course, they're going to struggle when they turn 18 to find a home or to find that support system that can really help them thrive and grow into successful adults. And that's where Help One Child really helps youth make that transition and help them, you know, find their network and make their network stronger to successfully age out.
So Jill, how, back to Help One Child, these are amazing stories.
Yeah, they really are.
They really are.
And they're rare. I want to point that out, at that how incredible their stories are, but how possible they are with the right spirit and attitude and tenacity and resiliency and caring people along the way, pouring into you guys.
Especially, you know, when the impermanence of various foster care situations. When I think of you in college, and all of a sudden all your belongings are on your doorstep, and now you're on your own, and yet you've overcome that. Now, to Help One Child, you have programs for children of various ages. But this issue of the foster children growing, you know, aging out, what does your agency, what is Help One Child trying to do? How do you get involved in these situations? Right.
Well, again, our primary goal is to recruit, train, and support foster parents, and that doesn't mean just foster parents for that 2 and under age wanting to complete their family, which is also a huge need all of the time. So anyone that wants to get involved in foster care on any level, we are in full support of. But helping to communicate the message that adoption can happen at 16 and matters at 16 and matters at 17 and matters at 18. And if it's not adoption, it may be guardianship. It may just be, you know, helping a grandma stay connected, or you know, finding a program like the Hub or finding a program like Reach, where we can create experiences for adults to get involved in loving, continuous, and long-term relationships with, because that's the need. I mean, you can talk about, well, what programs are out there for youth when they age out at 18, and you're like, no matter the length of program, when do you stop needing your parents? You know, when do you stop needing that adult there?
So how do you, as an organization, hear about these situations, and then how? We don't have a lot of time left, but how do you hear of these situations where help is needed, and then how do you find or pair them up, the young person and the foster parents or whoever?
Right. Well, for youth still in foster care, whether they're placed with foster parents or in a group home, we try to work closely with the counties and the private agencies running the group homes. And then we go out through our church network and say, hey, here's a group home in your neighborhood. How can you connect with them, and on what level? And we try to meet the volunteer at the youth or at the child and say, you're both individuals. How can we help to build this relationship?
So you don't play a role, and you leave that to other agencies to choose the foster parents and screen them.
We don't do placement, and we don't say you should be licensed with a county or a private agency. We say we cannot get enough people to care about these kids. So no matter at what level you're willing to care about them, let's plug you into the right channel, whether it's a mentorship program or a CASA or a foster parent with a private agency or adoption. Let's hear about your heart, and let's hold your hand along the way. So when you go and walk up to your 4-foot-tall stack of paperwork at the county office, you have a person to pick up the phone and call and say, can you believe this? And we say, yep, and there's going to be more, so just keep calling.
Do you help them at that point? Say someone who had volunteered to help in whatever way.
Right.
And then they find out, as you say, the 4-foot-tall stack of paperwork. Whether
it's paperwork, whether it's an overly strapped social worker that is not getting back to them in the way that, in the expediency that they think would be appropriate.
So then you Help One Child, what, makes the call or tries to help them?
It's everything just from someone to listen. Having someone to listen, to pick up and say, hey, we've been there, we've got other parents who've been there, and we're going to be there the whole time.
So you're almost a super support group. I mean, this super network that oversees this whole...
We try to be. I mean, everything from, I've got a new baby, okay, so do you need a crib and a monitor and some clothes and some blankets? Suppose
someone watching the program thinks, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I would like to volunteer.
Right.
In some way. What do they do?
Then they could go to our website, which is helponechild.org.
Helponechild.org. That's simple.
One-O-N-E. Yeah, helponechild.org. You can call us.
And the same, if they wanted to make some donations, they could.
Right, make a donation, come by, see our office.
Anything like that, they go to the website.
Right, and just give us a call. We're a small office.
That's great. I can't thank the three of you enough for all the information you've given us, and very enlightening. And I want to thank all of you for watching AAUW Connections.
Thank you.
Thank you.